Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Storyist. Today, I will tell you a story about a luxury eatery manager who was about to kick out this old man who seemed like a tramp, not knowing who he really was. But this homeless man was not what he seemed. Watch the video until the end to find out who he was and what happened next. Our story today takes place inside a very nice restaurant in a big city. It was the sort of restaurant that required a reservation to get in. People that went there to eat, dressed in their fanciest clothes, and everything on the menu was delicious, but expensive. Important businessmen would have meetings at this restaurant, and celebrity couples would go there on fancy dates. The restaurant manager would often work the floor on busy nights. He would spend the shift moving from table to table, checking on guests, and making sure everything was perfect with their orders. He also made sure that the staff always looked and acted their best. The manager considered it his responsibility to make sure that the restaurant ran as smoothly as possible, and he took his job very seriously. He ran a tight ship, but under his leadership, the restaurant was known as one of the best and fanciest in the city. So you can imagine that when a homeless man showed up at this fancy luxury restaurant, he caused quite a stir. The man's hair and beard were long and dirty. It was plain to see he hadn't bathed or showered in at least a few days. His clothes were dirty too, and hung off him like they didn't fit right. Beneath his tattered clothes, he had a skinny body of someone who wasn't getting enough to eat. On his feet, he wore mismatched shoes, one black, the other brown. He was the last sort of person you would expect to see here in this upscale restaurant, surrounded by expensive food, being eaten by people in fancy clothes. And yet, there he was, through the restaurant without a worry for the people around him. The other customers in the restaurant began speaking in hushed tones when the homeless man walked by. Some of the groups of people began to whisper among themselves about the man. How did he get in here? Maybe he's mentally ill or confused. Why did the hostess let him come in? The homeless man could hear them, even though they were whispering. He did his best to ignore them and continued walking through the restaurant. He was looking for someone. Then, the restaurant manager saw the homeless man from the other side of the dining room. He decided immediately that this homeless person had to go. It would be bad for business for homeless people to hang around in the restaurant. After all, this was a high-class establishment. The manager had worked hard to build their reputation, and he wasn't about to sit back and watch it be ruined by some tramp now. First, the manager stormed over to the hostess station. How did he get in here? He hissed at the hostess, pointing rudely at the homeless man. Why did you let him in? I'm sorry, sir, the hostess replied. He said he had a reservation. The name he gave was on the list. What? The restaurant manager said. Give me that list. He quickly snatched the reservation sheet from the hostess's hand and looked at it closely. Sure enough, the name the man had given was on the list, with a table for 5. There must be some mistake, the manager said to the hostess. Just look at him. He doesn't belong here. There's no way he has a reservation. He must have just guessed a name and gotten lucky. I'll go and put a stop to this right now. Without another word, the restaurant manager stormed away from the hostess station and headed towards the homeless man, who had almost reached the reserved table. You, the manager shouted, stop right there! He shouted so loud that everyone in the restaurant stopped their conversations and watched to see what was going on. The manager continued towards the homeless man, pointing at him and shouting, What do you think you're doing in here, huh? Can't you see this is a nice restaurant? The homeless man replied softly, with a bit of sadness in his voice. I'm meeting with some old friends. They told me to come find them this evening at this restaurant. The homeless man paused for a second and then added, I'm not bothering anyone. Please, just let me sit with my friends." The manager scoffed at him. "Friends? Ha! I don't see any other hobos around. Look at yourself. You're dirty and you smell bad. Look at your shoes. They don't even match. This is a nice restaurant for nice, upstanding people. You don't belong here. Now go look for your hobo convention somewhere else before I call the police. Go on, get out of here." The homeless man looked down at the ground, dejected. He was about to walk away when he heard another voice speak up. "Are you done?" the voice asked the manager. The homeless man looked up in time to see the manager turn and respond. "What?" "Are you done?" the voice repeated. It was a customer at the table at the back of the restaurant. He had gotten up and approached the manager. "Because if you're done being mean to my friend here, I'd like to show him to our table so we can get some food." "What?" the manager asked again. "You know this man?" The customer walked right up to the homeless man and gave him a big hug. Then he turned to the manager and said, "Know him? This man saved my life." The customer turned and pointed to the rest of the men at his table before continuing. "We were all Marines over in Iraq. This man right here was our captain. His quick thinking saved our entire unit. He's a hero. Things have been hard for him since he got back from the war, like they are for a lot of veterans. But every year, when we get together to celebrate coming home, we always invite our captain. You see, today marks the 10-year anniversary of all of us coming home. So we wanted to take him somewhere really special to mark the occasion. We heard all about this restaurant, so we thought we would all have a great time. I guess we were wrong." The customer turned away from the manager, who was trying to stutter out an apology, and led the homeless man over to the table with the rest of their friends. "Here we are, Captain. Saved you a seat. I'm sorry that manager was so rude to you. He couldn't see what a great man you really are on the inside." Then the customer turned to the rest of his friends. "Come on, soldiers. Let's go somewhere a little less uptight and have some fun." And with that, the entire group got up and left for the restaurant across the street. Several other customers got up to leave too. The manager stopped one couple and asked, "What's happening? Where are you going?" They told him they were going to eat at a restaurant that respected our heroes instead of being rude to them. "But I didn't know. How was I supposed to know?" the manager said desperately. The couple replied, "Did you ask? No, you didn't take the time to give him a chance. You made a snap judgment based on his appearance. But you were wrong, and it's too late to go back and change things now. Maybe next time you won't be so quick to judge someone by their appearance. After all, would you kick out your own mother if she showed up in a t-shirt and flip-flops? It's what's on the inside that counts." Soon the manager stood alone inside an empty restaurant. All the other customers had left because of his rudeness. From that moment on, he promised himself that he would do better. He wouldn't judge people based on their looks anymore, because he knew now that it's what's on the inside that matters most. If you liked this story, don't forget to hit the button and subscribe. And make sure you turn on the notification bell. We'll see you in the next story.